Amanda Needham is a two-time Emmy-winning costume designer whose work can be seen this season on Hulu's Shrill, a magnificent comedy with A.D. Bryant. I'm Tony Ruiz of Gold Derby. And Amanda, you've done so much in terms of costume design, so I'm always curious, where do you start your process? Is it with a script? Is it with a particular actor? How do you begin?
Yeah. How do I begin? I think it depends on the project. For Shrill, AD and I will kind of get a jump start on conversations. She'll kind of let me know what to expect for the season, and then, because so much of what we do for Shrill, we make. And so it kind of helps me wrap my head around where to get fabrics. And we have one fabric store in Portland, Oregon, truthfully. So to have any kind of a head start to be able to go to New York or LA to do all of our fabric buys, the more time I have with that is really helpful. So I'll talk to AD, then we'll break down the scripts, and we'll just kind of go scene by scene and talk about what each character should wear.
So it sounds like also that AD is very much involved in the process. I mean, obviously as an executive producer of the show, but what is your guys' working relationship like, and how has it changed? How has it grown over the last 2 seasons?
I think, well, if you believe in love at first sight, that's how our story started. No, AD and I are really connected just beyond Shrill. I think we really have an easy working relationship, and we're oftentimes thinking the same thing or seeing the same thing. And so it just makes it a lot easier to have that kind of connection and to be able to just have that shortcut. It's kind of the way that I feel like I'm connected to my sister, who also works on Shrill as the makeup artist. Like, there's just a knowing and an understanding that I think is pretty rare. I don't think you get it all the time, but AD she's one of the best out there, and she really also understands fashion, and she also knows what she likes. And so that really helps, build a relationship pretty quickly.
One of the things that is really interesting to me is that it seems like, and not having spent that much time in Portland, that there's a certain character to the fashion there. Can you describe that for people who aren't familiar with the universe of the show and with Portland in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the cool thing about Portland is that there's a lot more diversity here now, and there has been so many people moving here from all over the place in the last 8 years that it's really kind of has lent itself to like where like fashion is. Like, there are so many people here who understand and kind of make moves with fashion and where it's going. I think there's a lot of trends that start in Oregon, actually, and maybe that's because there's Nike and Adidas and everybody here just really trying to be part of something that's fresh and new.
So is there a character that you particularly love designing for, or do they all, or do you love them all for different reasons?
I don't think I could pick a favorite. I think I really feel inspired by what each character brings to the table. I love creating Annie's wardrobe because it's all original. Most of it's original. And so that process for me is really exciting. Ruthie, I am obsessed with the kind of color mixing and pattern blending that we do. Lolly, I feel like half of her wardrobe I want. Amadi can like wear anything and feel good. The new character that came on for season 2 that was just like a dream come true was Calendar Cody. Like we really were given just the ability to go beyond, go to this like, aspirational place of, creating and he also has really good style for his, in his day to day. So that kind of helped to take some nods from that, but it was all the characters have such individuality that it really helps the costume design process. And I feel really just inspired by each of them.
And, let's talk about 2 specific episodes that just, to me, were very much standouts of the season. First, the women's conference. That had to be, such fun to do. Or was it, how challenging was it to create this kind of like conference world? Because I know it was one of 80's favorite episodes.
Yeah, well, so Natasha Leone was the director who I adore, and we've known each other for years now. And so that was really exciting to get a chance to work with her as a director because it was the first time. And she, is really in touch with fashion. And so it was really nice to be able to bounce ideas off of her and 80 and just really feel like we wanted Vanessa's character to feel like you knew her right away. And using the soft pink suit that was double-breasted just felt like just a little bit of a style step, and but you still knew who she was. And then with 80, that Rachel Antonoff blouse was kind of really it. And there was going to be some pushback because there was going to be a moment where we were going to shoot her on green screen, and the blouse had green in it, and I really was just like, you guys, we got to find a way because this is it. She's going to be in a sea of pink, and I just really wanted her to stand out in that moment.
I love particularly what you're saying about the Vanessa Bear character as kind of the leader, because that outfit is such a power outfit, and yet it has that kind of, soft, inviting look, and Vanessa plays it just perfectly with this kind of dead behind the eyes sincerity that's also kind of like, I'll snap your neck in a heartbeat. Had you ever worked with Vanessa Bear before? Because you seem to like know exactly what that character needed.
Yes, she came to Portlandia a couple of times, but her characters on Portlandia weren't really high fashion, I really think it was just like more normal day-to-day kind of approachable woman. And this, we just really wanted to punch her up and make her fashionable and kind of cutting. And, hair and makeup played a part in that. We picked a really kind of pretty blonde bob and softer palette for makeup. So that all kind of comes into connection to build that character. Because you're right, we do see Vanessa. We have worked with Vanessa. We've seen Vanessa, and we wanted to just kind of separate this look from anything you've seen before.
And the other episode that I have to talk about, of course, is Fran's sister's wedding, which is just one of is such a spectacular explosion of costumes. What did you think when you first saw that script?
When I first saw that script, I was like, oh Lord, we've got there is going to be some research that needs to be done with this, because you have to get it right, and Nigerian weddings have so many different layers to it, and it really depends on what tribe your family is from, and the colors that the bride wants, and the fabric that's kind of passed out for each family member to wear. It's really intricate, and it was so important to get it right. So it was really, that was the hardest episode the hardest episode of television I think I might have ever done. Getting stuff made in Nigeria, and we were getting fabric from LA and New York, and just when you have all those moving parts, you're going to have something fall through the cracks, I think. And so we had our color, we had our fabrics, we were building everything, and the groomsmen were being built in Nigeria. And when they sent it over, it was the wrong color of purple. And it was too close to shooting for us to change the whole color palette of the wedding. And so we really had to like work with our Nigerian contact to recreate what we originally asked for. And it was literally down to the wire. We had them flown to New York to meet the FedEx cut off time, and they missed it. And so then I had to find somebody in New York who could fly the next morning on the 5 a.m. to Portland because they were shooting the wedding scene that day.
Wow.
We flew it to Portland, had a PA pick up the groomsmen and bring them out to this remote location in Oregon to be shot. And it was the craziest cliff-hanging experience of my life, but it looks beautiful.
Well, and I'm curious because, you know, when you see those kind of, when you have that kind of experience and that kind of, you know, really extravagant costuming, is that more difficult than, say, like picking outfits for maybe Ryan, for Luca? Do you have more fun with the more extravagant costumes, or do you have more fun with like just like kind of stuff that's supposed to look like just everyday stuff?
No, I love a challenge. I know I would be in this industry for as long as I did if it was just normcore. You know, I do enjoy it because that is a person and you have to step inside that person to really know what their movements are. And so I appreciate that. But I love a challenge. I love fashion. I love setting, you know, people apart from each other. That's fascinating to me. But I do love Ryan.
How can you not? So, you know, the show's been picked up for a third season. Have you and Adie had any preliminary talks about? I know when I spoke to her a few weeks ago, they were just kind of starting to write the season. But are there things that you'd like to explore in season 3 that maybe look-wise that you haven't been able to do yet?
You know, I'm excited because where we left her at season 2, we left her really kind of open for this idea that maybe she would be dating. And so I think that that's going to give us some room to design some, you know, cool, confident dating looks that we haven't really seen before. And just to really like see her unpack who she is outside of Ryan or, you know, the relationship with her mom or dad. It's going to be really interesting to see Annie as Annie in this dating world and see how she kind of takes that on. I feel really excited about that.
Well, Amanda Needham, thank you so much. Congratulations. And everybody go to goldderby.com, make your predictions for the Emmys, and stay tuned for more interviews throughout the season. Amanda, such a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.